Hi, I'm making a different video where I'm talking about my past memories. Just so I OCD about them less by making a video on these telling you them. So I feel less crazy. As I basically making this video so I feel less crazy that I'm OCDing on. So basically I'm making a video on why I think I was this is a bunch of videos on me talking about my trauma from my past childhood. And I wasn't a very lovable kid in school. I went to a Lighthouse and also on the bus ride, going off and on to school, back and forth. And the reason why I wasn't a lovable kid is because these two ladies that drove me, who I forget their names, that they were my bus drivers I had at the time, one was called A in that rode in back, in bus, and or sometimes in the passenger seat, and that's what was one of the other ones driving the actual bus, was called the bus driver. And Lighthouse was a school I went to as a kid that doesn't offer any does not give any of the students a GED, but gives them an education up to the age of 21. Then they have to leave after 21. Once they turn, after the age out of 21. Once they turn 22, they have to leave. No one can go to school. And it's a private school I went to, Lighthouse was. The one private school I went to as a kid. And the last private school. And I'm sorry, yeah, so that I went to as a kid, so anyway, yeah, I wasn't really a lovable kid. I was pretty much hated on by the adults at the school, because they always referred to me that I'm a bad student, and always say I'm a lazy student, so I'm just assuming this based off of their words. And they always referred to me as a bad kid whenever I was in my adult years, in my 20, when I was, whenever I talked to them sometimes, when I was still going there at Lighthouse when I was 20 before I left forever. And started my YouTube channel at 20 after leaving Lighthouse. So these ladies that were driving me didn't believe I was abused by my mom and by Vinny. Didn't believe I suffered any of these level of abuse of the moments I told them. Certain moments I told them that mom or Vinny or put me for some sort of abuse. They didn't believe me, and you know, I was used to that at that point in 2008 is when they started driving me. I was used to people. I was the kind of kid that was in 2008. I was completely used to it. People just not believing in me and wanting to give a fuck about me and just resenting me because of the abuse I go through that they don't want to listen to about or hear about. They weren't the only people like that. Like, for example, like this second time I went to kindergarten, and the second time AJ, my 2-year-old brother, went to first grade again, and we took first grade when he was already going to third grade. Going third grade, he was going to go to fourth grade, I think. He had to get held back to first grade, and I had to get held back to kindergarten. When I was going to first grade before getting transferred to the school called Columbus School. It's a public school. That one was. Not private, a school. Columbus School is where I transferred to in 2003. And this teacher was a principal named Miss Berry, who was also a female. And she looked really old and wrinkly to me. Of course, that's probably because I have blurry vision. I don't know how well I'm seeing her wrinkles, okay? She could look as ugly or less ugly, I don't know. I mean, I thought she looked ugly, okay? Is what I'm trying to say. And old. And I do not mean that as an insult. I just mean as a statement. Just like Miss Berry did not mean it as an insult when she did not believe it, and thinks I don't get abused by my mom and Vinny. When I told her I do get abused by my mom and Vinny. On multiple different occasions. And told her multiple different times, here and there. But she never wanted to believe that. That lady, Miss Berry from Columbus School. She was my principal when I first met her in 2003. And my principal the entire time. The head principal of the school when I was going there the entire time up until I left. And I think I left in 2007 or 2000. I can't remember right now on the top of my head. It was one of those years. Of those 2 years. One of those 2 years of 2007 or 2008, it was when I left Columbus School, and then I got transferred to Lighthouse eventually down the line, after I took a break from going to school, after I stopped going to Columbus School for a bit. Because I stopped going to school. Period. At that school, Columbus. Complicated, but this is complicated. It's just like a long story, long complex story of basically of me basically going through trauma and misery. Yeah, I don't think you want to hear why I'm just. It's really not that. It's really kind of. This would take too long in this video. I think so. And also, I don't want to make myself too sad and dwell on it too much. I just want to make myself better and get what I'm fixated on off my mind and into this video. One time, I told these two bus drivers that were driving me to back and forth at the location of Lighthouse School, the private school I went to at the time. I told them about the time I fell asleep on this plane when I was a kid. Sometime in 2003 this was. And this was when I was with my mom and my big brother AJ and Auntie Lisa and her kid, younger kid called Nicholas or Nicky. I can't remember. Is Nicholas or Nicky? He calls himself. It's either Nicholas or Nicky. Nicholas, Nicky. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I heard that name. That kid's name and seen that any content. Where's that kid? I haven't heard anything from that kid in years. Anyway, he was on the plane, and I was also on the plane. And this one time, I was basically actually did my best way to explain this point of view of my trauma event, of my memories of what happened. But they just cut me off, and they told me to just shut up, basically. And don't want me to be mean to my mom just by talking about stuff that I remember being with my mom before she, got diagnosed with this disease called ALS. But to be fair, I didn't know if she was diagnosed with ALS at the time, because I didn't find that out until 2016. It was during when I was at Newport with my daddy, when Jasmine, who was my stepsister now, and Jasmine was doing an ice bucket challenge and so was, I think, my other sister, who's younger than Jasmine, who's my little stepsister, and Jasmine, my big stepsister. And, they both did the ice bucket challenge, I remember. I think they both did eventually the ice bucket challenge, and made a video on it, and, this was down when we were at this, like, a little hotel room, in this hotel room down at Newport for vacation. This is where I discovered the show Steven Universe for the first time. I watched the first episode, but I didn't know it was the first episode. I just know it was the episode called Cookie Cat. But I didn't know it was the first episode until I had to watch the whole marathon online in YouTube by myself. After I was introduced to it down in Newport, while I was flipping through channels, I was hooked over one episode of Steven Universe, the original show of season 1. That was a good moment for me. But anyway, the reason why I bring this up is because down in Newport, that's when I found out my mom had ALS, and I didn't know what ALS was. I never heard anything before. Nobody told me my mom was dying of a sickness. I just assumed that she was dying of old age. As far as I was concerned, when I was living with her for 7 years, during the 7 years when she had ALS, I just assumed she was dying of old age. Is why her body was failing her. I just assume maybe it's different with women than it is for men. Maybe, like, women actually experience at a different pace. Or maybe, I mean, I just figure, like, at mom's 40, in her 40s, She's in her early 40s, and, hey, I mean, I just figured, she was just unfortunate just not take care of her health enough. I mean, Mom, since 2003, has been, always, well, had a little, Mom often, like, had, like, alcohol, took in a loss of, I know she took in a loss of more alcohol since 2003, since she was in this relationship with this guy called Vinny. And she often did sleep through most of the day. Often. Sleeping late for the afternoon. And that was on the weekends. And the weekdays. Living with her. But that was before her body was failing her. And she did smoke a lot. Like, way ridiculous amounts of cigarettes than she did before. Well, before she left Dad. I mean, she smoked a lot before behind Dad's back, but Dad, I asked if Dad didn't know this, I guess, until I brought this up to him. These memories of her smoking all the time that I listed off of to my dad. That's who I live with now. I mean, I can't really blame her for drinking for drinking a lot and for being miserable, because Vinny was a very miserable person and a violent person, or a loud person. The person who she left, the person who she went with after leaving my dad. But so he was like, that was all three of us. Me, AJ, and besides Mom. Vinny was this little cop in Medford who worked for who eventually was a lieutenant for the police department in Medford. I found out he actually has a Facebook account. Because my dad showed me his Facebook account, Vinny's account. If you want to know how, you know, he's like kind of really ugly fella. If you don't believe me, he's an ugly fella, you can just look into his Facebook account. His last name's DiStefano, and his first name is Vinny, and that's his Facebook account name, login name. And you just find it, his pictures of him. He just looks really ugly. It's sad, because my mom was actually, my mom was always like a very, one of those girls, even though, one of those girls that she really doesn't have to, like, wear a lot of makeup or try a lot hard to look very beautiful, even because she's naturally that beautiful. That's how good my mom's looks were with her face. But I don't know. For some reason, once since she started living with being in a relationship with Vane, and I was living with my mom the entire time when she went into the relationship with Vinny. After leaving my dad, because I never live with my dad. I lived with my mom, and for 7 years, and started in 2003. I would have been well, it was starting summer of 2003, I think, sometime summer of 2003. Don't remember the months. At the moment. Anyway, so that's the kind of asshole Vinny was. And he was just like, always ugly fella, I thought. Really wrinkly and leathery skin. He always had, kind of. And, old-looking, baggy, puffy skin. And he was always, not in the best shape. Kind of short. Not really redeeming quality factors in terms of his looks. His personality sucks. Once you get to know him. Like I did. And my brother AJ did. And so did my mom did. Know that he's this degenerate drunk that likes to hurt people. And just, have violent outbursts for the stupidest reasons. So I was 5 years old when I wanted to watch, 5 or 6 in 2003, I stayed up late because I wanted to watch this movie called Hocus Pocus. The first one. I stayed up late, and for some reason, Ving was so pissed at me. He lashed out on me, and he, I forgot how many times he had to punch me in the head at that age. I forget what age I was, but I know the year was 2003. I don't remember how many times he had to punch me in the head. It just hurt a lot. I mean, I could have been 6 or 5 then. Depending on if it was after or before my 6th birthday in 2003. I was born on March 25th of 1997. That's my birthday year. This is why I was a very unloved kid, and pretty much a very hated kid, because I was surrounded by people like these, as a kid. Like Vinny. And that's why I was very hated as a kid. That's how I see it. Did I mention this one time I woke up in this little room, I don't think I did mention this. I woke up in this little room that I didn't, really seen before, late, it was a nice little bedroom, but anyway, it was a little bedroom, but a little room I'd never seen before. This was sometime after I fell asleep on this plane on the trip, to the flight to Florida, when I was with my mom and AJ and Auntie Lisa and Nikki, Lisa's kid, her younger kid. I fell asleep and I woke up in this room, this nice hotel room that I never been in. Okay, it was very nice, and then I heard Mom taking a showers, and Mom came out of the shower, and I asked, how long was I sleeping for? She just said a few days. I was a little confused, like, because I don't remember getting off the plane and waking up on the plane and getting off the plane. So I was a little confused. How did I got in the hotel room, and when did I get in the hotel room? And she told me that she put me in this wheelchair when I fell asleep on the plane and rolled me off the wheelchair and took me off the plane in the wheelchair. And brought me to the hotel and carried me and put me in my pajama bottom all by herself. She did that while I was sleeping. She did not say anything about drugging me. But I didn't know that until my daddy put it together. And daddy figured it out. That mommy drugged me because the fact that I was like in that